the meeting from Zoom to YouTube. Looks like it's working. Let me copy the URL to my notepad. Oh, save it. Okay. Everybody's looking good. We're ready to go. Yeah. So Ella, you got fancy faces with Ava. So you're doing it together. Who's more fancy than the other ones? Okay. At least you guys can entertain yourselves. It's good. Okay. Welcome, everybody. Can you hear me? Okay. Good. So welcome today. We are meeting virtually today, covering just answering any of your questions. It's open-ended. It's open mic day where you can ask me any questions that you want. I'll go over a review that we're going to meet. Instead of virtually on Monday, we're going to meet in person. So we'll be there. Okay, and we'll talk about it. Okay, I have a volunteer to moderate the chat today.
I can
do it.
Okay, Ella, that irritates me. Thanks. Who said they'll do it? Volunteers?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Okay, so Ricardo, you have a partner in crime here to moderate the chat. We usually don't have a lot.
I can do it as well.
Okay, so Amelie, thank you. Okay, welcome. Last time we met, we were lucky enough to have the founder of FastBots, which I think was a easy add-on chatbot that you could customize on your own data. And I think it's great that we got a founder there and he wanted to be our academic partner. Any comments on that? So what did you think, Amelie? You are asking great questions to him. What did you think?
I liked having a guest speaker, and thought it was cool to talk to someone who's actually in the business and running it, see what their pros are and all of that.
And what was your impression of his product?
I thought that FastBots was really good. I liked that he kind of talked about the process of building it too, like buying it and all of that, because there's a lot that goes into it. So yeah.
Yeah, I thought he was quite candid. And
Yeah.
I liked it that he didn't put on a lot of airs and he was easy to speak to. And what I like too is that you got to the decision maker. A lot of times when I've guest speakers, the companies are so large, you're not really talking about the person that founded it, but rather, the head of marketing or so. I was impressed with that. And what did you think, Anders?
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Okay, what did you like about it? Or what were your thoughts?
I thought he made it pretty easy to design, and if you want to like do it yourself for your own business, it's pretty easy to do.
Uh-huh. What I'll make a point of that. Let me just go over a couple of things with you and I'll make a point of it. Any other comments? So we can do that. I think one is it brings to life, and two, what I thought was interesting, that he wasn't a techie guy. That despite being a techie guy, he got into an app where he bought something. It was like minimal, and then he went out and got employees. And I thought that was interesting too, where it was evolving. It wasn't just, oh, I got 3 guys from India to help me, but rather I gave the same project to a number, or the same task to a number of different people to see who could present it. And that's really what you have to do in the interview process, because everybody can sell you a bill of goods. And you don't know if you, number one, if they can do it. And number two, you don't know if you'll work with it. So it's interesting where he used Upwork. And then once he found a group that he liked, they left Upwork and he's just doing it directly with them. So I thought that business process of his was interesting. And he's been active in kind of the affiliate program, marketing, and this was, I thought, an interesting program. So let me share a couple of things with you just to let you know. So let me share my screen. And let me go to my browser. And if you go to Fastbots, what they're, one is I wanted to emphasize to you, I like his website to almost for you guys to see what is positive about his website. You know how I critique your websites when it's happening, and what I like is kind of it has that it has a feel for shades of blue that you feel, but I like right above, he gives you an idea what they do. Learn how to build your own chatbot. And then he gives a little training webinar. Watch it now. You guys could even do that, and already since you're screencasting. And then here, help customers 24/7, 365 with custom AI chatbots. Use our builder to make ChatGPT like chatbots for your business that help customers with your site. I like here that he has the little icons for PDF. This is really nice where he gives the 3 steps, makes it easy, simple. And what I've seen him for the past couple of months, and he basically works pretty fast of giving a new versions. Almost in this business, you can't be static. You have to keep on revising. And that's what I like too. He showed the roadmap of where he's going, and he keeps on getting cleaner and easier to follow. So it is here, what you import your data, customize, and you can see he's British, customize the bot and start using. And here, what I'd like too is sign up for free. People don't know you from the hole in the wall. I like it that for sign up free, no credit card required. I'm requiring you in Wix to use your to somebody to use your credit card. So we're getting the domain name, which I think is valuable for us, and it's a service in which we're gaining a benefit for it. And then once we finish this class and after it's submitted, I'll make sure that you'll make sure that we'll remind you, if you don't want to continue, to at least cancel, that you don't get a full renewal again. But what I wanted to show you, besides that it works with a number of channels, and it's pretty easy, where he's connecting automatic data retraining. If you have a website that frequently changes content, important to make sure that the chatbot is aware of it, which is nice. Here again, at every page, he says sign up, giving you like a call for action, gives you a little case studies. And this, what he's giving us is he's giving us 2 months of $40 a month where we can subscribe. So I'll let you know next week how to get that. But here you have to put in your credit card. But his free version is 0. For this assignment where you're going to add the chatbot, a customized chatbot to your website, bear in mind what I'm going to suggest is you can use the free version, because the free version gives you one chatbot, which is enough. You get 50 messages per month, which is enough for your prototype. You get 500K characters. It crawls websites up to 500 pages. Nobody in this class has 500 pages. It gives you a chat history, and here it gives you limited learning models, language models, and add unlimited website. And your chatbot's data is deleted after 14 days of inactivity. If this is enough for you, you can use the free version. Everybody understand? Next week, I'll give you the code in which those of you that are continuing to think, hey, I want to learn more professional, and maybe I can take this company and maybe, or even I want to do this professionally or add it to my portfolio. I suggest you do the $40, but we're going to get it free for 2 months. So after the 2 months, you can either continue with it or you can just discontinue. And in this, you get 5 chatbots. The other difference is that you can have a team. Those of you that are just going to assign one person to your group project to do it, this free is enough. Or everybody in your group can sign up and play around with it if you want. And then what's nice is you can use this chatbot once you know how to do it and use it as one of your apps for your program. You say, hey, I came across this program called FastBots. I'm using it on my own. We're using it on our own website. Hey, let me teach you how to use it, or even critique it and talk about it. And if you have it as free, you can do that as well. So in this case, everybody in the class can sign up for free to get to use it. And adding it to your website, you have the link that everybody can even try it out, and then one person decides in your group to put it in on your website. Or what you can see here, this allows you to work as a team. And it does, notice here, it does 5,000 messages. It does 15 million. It crawls 5,000 pages. It does that chat translation. Remember, he does that translation. With the API, you can get it to do translation. You can do leads integration. It'll use much more of the LLMs there. You can see that you have more. It will do auto retrain, add unlimited websites, and you can have 5 team members. So if you would like, use this, that's your choice. What I'd like on this assignment, you have a choice. Either sign up, one person sign up with their credit card, you don't get charged, and then cancel it after a month, or use the free version. It's up to you. But what's interesting for me, how he has it set up, that you could even be a reseller. So you could say, in a reseller, you could resell this, and notice you can remove then powered by FastBots, custom powered by text. You could get a custom domain name, white label your chatbots, and have 30 team members. So you could do this for other people. That could be your service. You understand, Andre? Instead of with what you were talking about, you want us to create your chatbots. And what's interesting, Andres, that I found, you see Fully Managed, he even thought, hey, you never know. There are a number of companies, they don't want to create this. They don't want to maintain it. We'll maintain it. So he almost, just like Amazon, had to first maintain their systems. And then they said, hey, we'll do it for others, right? So this is Fully Managed. If you would like us to build and fully manage your custom chatbots, please get in touch for our prices. So you could even on your website say, hey, let us tell you about this new product that we see where you could get it free. We'll show you how to use it. But this is our service too. We can do it for you. So you remember how, Andres, I was telling you, you're almost generous with people. A lot of times when you're generous, then they say, hey, he's so generous. But you know what? We don't have time to mess around with that, to check it, to change it, to modify the questions, because really you have to almost massage it in terms of getting it just right. You could be a fully managed and use that as another revenue source and see where it goes. You don't know what the marketplace does, but for some companies, hey, this is well, or we're an agency. Can you provide all our customers with doing a customized chatbot? Because that's what everybody wants. They don't want something generic as a chat GPT, but I want it to pertain to me. So this is what you see this included in the FastBots agency programs. And then he has some additional. So he's tried, what I like about it, that he's open. And I told him I think it'd be great if he uses the voice conversation. Not every time you want to text something, he says, yeah, we're for it. You know, he's open to improve. So I just wanted to show you. I'll bring that out next week. Next week when you're in the test, I'll give you the specifics of what code you need. And there's just a short little video of how you even put that onto Wix. But you can even put it on your logo too. You know, you can put it even in your emails, a little chatbot. So it's even beyond just a website. So I thought that was interesting. Okay. Any questions? Comments in the crowd? So I can go on. So let's go on to what we have next and how we're going to meet next time. Okay. So next time, let me just go back to, you see here, basically, let me just put this on too. Just so you know, today we are November 13th. I've posted here study turns for exam 2, multiple choice open-ended questions. Our exam is Monday, just to make sure people are coming in and out, and on, especially online, it's somehow easy to days off. It's this Monday. It's the same time. Our advantage is since we're at 5 o'clock, we can stay longer. No one's going to come after us. So just like before, come at 5, not later, so we can all start together. Bring your laptop. Make sure that Respondus is installed. The latest version of Respondus is installed. Though we will use the computers, we will have I sent out a note for our IT folks, our from the School of Business to help me with a mic, help us if we have any problems with Respondus, if we're having problems with the computer. Bring a pictured ID, of course, bring your phone, because you're going to need to have, or a token, you're going to need to have Duo. Every time you finish one side of the exam, you do it. So these are the chapters. The new chapters of TG3 and 14, which is the cloud. Chapter 14, which is artificial intelligence. We have enterprise resource planning, which is 10, and 12 is what we call business analytics. And we will have questions again from chapters 4 and 5. From the readings, open-ended questions. And what I'd like in the open-ended questions is add to it, show examples from your project and exercises that we did. Okay, so let's look at what we have so everybody knows where it is. So here it is under everybody go to PowerPoints and documents. You should see in the beginning. Amelie, do you see it in the beginning under PowerPoints and documents? Because let me just turn mine off, because sometimes I don't have the same.
Yeah,
as
I'm
you.
looking now.
Look now. Everybody look now and make sure it's working, right? Because on, some little glitch, you know how it is. I make mistakes, and a lot of this is not Gen AI that says, Dr. Rush, you made a mistake in uploading. There's not a thing. So do you see it, Amelie? Let me know.
No, hold on. Yes, okay. Had to refresh.
Everybody see it? So Ricardo, did you see it where it is? Yes?
Yeah, I've downloaded already.
Okay, so download it. Before you even download it, notice here people were requesting a Quizlet. My former student who became my TA created a Quizlet with flashcards for exam 2. So he's generous enough, Dylan, to say that we can share it in other sections. So last semester he shared it. And as we say, our kindness is appreciated. So you can use this Quizlet. How I say you could do it is what? Use Gen AI, even use the Google Notebook, put in the slides, put in the documents, put in the URLs, and have it and ask it, create for me multiple choice questions, create for me essays, any way you could do it. I'd say, use any tools you can. It's optional. And those of you that are doing any type of tutoring, you you can add this to your examples. How would you study for an exam? And you can use yourself two birds with one stone, as they say. Okay. So in the exam, if I open it up, I'm just making sure that it's opening up, and you can see here that these are a lot of what we had before from chapters 4 and 5, risk, exposure, threats, and vulnerabilities, right? And basically it's the idea, I got data, I'm at risk, I have to secure my data. That's the problem. Once I go on the internet, once I store my data, I am at risk. The question is how much risk and how much do I want to spend on it? How much exposure do I have once I'm on the World Wide Web? If I'm in a university and I'm on a network and I have all these university students, what do I have? They're exposed. Everybody wants to come into my network. So, and where am I vulnerable? So I have controls. We talked about it. Physical, we go to the lab, right? Whether it's worthwhile day, physical, and what do you have to have? You have they've locked the doors. And what happens is, how do you get access to it? Is you have to swipe your cane card, and through communications, we have controls too. We have Duo and others. We talked about the virtual private network versus the standard HTTP, which is hypertext transfer protocol, that is open, that if I send data, my data is in plain text, that it's easy to, once I gain access to it, I can read it easily, just like I read it here. We talked about HIPAA compliant, meaning the Health Insurance Portable Act, I need more security there. Ransomware, we discussed ransomware being paid by Bitcoin, and we know we have to reduce my job. Is everybody has risk. I wake up in the morning, there's risk, right? I can slip when I get out of bed, that's a risk, and I can go into my car and drive, there's a risk, right? Everything has a risk. And what do I want to do? Is I want to mitigate those risks. I want to reduce. Am I going to eliminate all those risks? No, I want to reduce. So what can I do? One way is I can do risk transference. What does it mean, risk transference, then? Andres, what's risk transference? Do you ever do any risk transference? What does that mean? The university, did they do risk transference?
Yeah, they use Duo.
They use Duo, that's one transferring. And what's the best one that they use? I'm going to transfer the risk. Transferring the risk is not even, that's securing it, right, Anders? But still people can break in, right? Once I get hacked, I have health data, which is more valuable than anything else, because basically they can use Medicare fraud. They can do a number of different frauds with healthcare data. They get hacked. How do they transfer their risk? Whether they use Duo, Shmuo, doesn't matter. The question is, how does the university, Damien, transfer risk for their healthcare data? You know, they possibly get hacked. It's announced. The university is in a state that doesn't have to announce it. But if you're in California, you get hacked, you have to, the laws are you have to announce that you have been hacked. The university, some companies, along with our university, likes to keep it hush hush until it's on the black web and then they, on the dark side, and they can see it. So how do they transfer it? Damien, you have an idea?
Insurance.
Insurance. You go into your car, right? Some idiot, Andres, can bump into you, right? He went through a red light, right? And all of a sudden, or you somebody bumps into you and you bump into somebody, right? So how do you transfer that risk? Is by insurance. The duos, you know why they're using duos? Andres, one of the reasons is that the insurance company says, you have to do due diligence. You as a university or as my customer have to do due diligence to show that you are trying in a reasonable fashion to protect yourself. So that's why they're using Duo. But how are they transferring the risk? Is they say, hey, we got hackers insurance. And so when it gets hacked and all those expenses, then the insurance pays for it. And then there's unintentional threats. All our users, we're not looking to threaten anybody, but by accident, I read an email and I click on it. I thought it was Microsoft. No, it's not Microsoft, right? Deliberate threats are coming from the outside, or I have employees, right, that are in the system already and they are disgruntled. They can do deliberate threats. Or social engineering, we talked about it, is that basically somebody befriends me and then they say, you know what, we now are doing updates. So Dr. Rush, can you give us your username and password? We're doing updates. So this table 4.2 is that software attacks you can see. So there's an idea, there's remote attacks that require user action, that I have to click on something, and there are remote attacks that I don't have to do anything. They've gotten into the system and they're doing malicious things that I'm not aware of. Okay, and then there's basically strategies for business continuity. What does that mean? That we need to make plans for a business to continue. What are our plans? For instance, the university is, where are we vulnerable? We're vulnerable for a hurricane, right? You remember when we thought a hurricane was possibly coming and it was a low chance even. What did the university say? We're closing our Coral Gables campus and what's our continuity? You're going online. Before they were going online, before COVID, they just said, hey, we're canceling classes. Now they are saying, hey, we're going online. But guess what? If there's a real hurricane, what happens in this case, Amelie, is what? There's no internet access, right? It's down. Then they have to come up with it. So they have what they call cold, warm, hot sites that we talked about, is what? That if university is destroyed, maybe they have another center somewhere else that they can start their IT services. A warm site is they have another center, they have all the computers there. And a hot site, somebody that is like Amazon, they can't afford, if they get an earthquake in San Francisco, they can't afford to be down for a day. So they have a number of hot sites, meaning a number of sites that are ready and raring to go. And with a flick of a pinch there, they can get. So there's always difficulties managing our data. We talked about the data governance. People have to be responsible. Who owns the data? The database approach, we talked about it as fields are like columns, rows are like records. And then in cloud computing, what is the issue? Basically, those issues are the vendors of Amazon, which is called their services, AWS, which stands for Amazon Web Services. Basically, Amazon said, hey, we've done a lot of cloud work. We'll do it for others, from just doing software to doing operating systems to doing all the hardware, doing even all the models, even doing data analytics, doing it for different industries, for different products. And Microsoft is competing with Amazon. Amazon always is their cloud services was very profitable, and also for Microsoft. And the idea of called Azure, their product is called Azure. Amazon is AWS. Google is another one, and there are many others giving what they call popular cloud computing. But really, anything that we're being used in the class really is in the cloud. What does it mean? I gain access via my web browser to another server. And hopefully that I'll have internet access, because if I don't, then I have an issue. Hopefully that their servers are not hacked, and hopefully they are up and running and not down. So we talked about infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service. You need to know what those are. And if we think about our NinjaTrader, I'm going to go from, instead of left to right, from right to left. Software as a service, NinjaTrader, for instance, was my software. Platform as a service, you can think about it as my operating system. So we needed Windows. And infrastructure as a service is basically, we had a remote, we didn't even use our own computers. We remotely accessed servers from the infrastructure. And then our cloud computing can be public, which is usually the case, is the default, meaning when I have my Gmail or I have my Outlook, I don't know where my data is stored. It is in a public way shared with others. I have my own username and password, but public means my data is shared on a computer somewhere. I don't even know where it is. Public and it's shared. Private means that I'm in an organization that security is the utmost importance for me. And I don't even want to share my data, even though it's password protected, with others on the same machine. So that's going to be private. Hybrid is a combination. So for instance, maybe things in the Defense Department, right, of the United States, they need a private cloud. And other times, maybe a bank needs hybrid. And then we talked about data, that we went through the data, all of the data and all the issues. And then it was artificial intelligence. You need to know what that is. Machine learning versus deep learning. The Turing test, which tells the basically artificial intelligence, seeing how smart it was, can a human being tell did it come from a computer versus a machine? And now more and more it's becoming, it's in some ways for people, it's scary, it's difficult to see it. And then basically my natural language, it can process it, my voice to text. Data mining is basically looking at my data and finding patterns, finding something that I was not familiar with before. So for instance, it could be my students, right? I may mine the data and find those that had certain majors were more satisfied, or even data mining, maybe those students that come from certain regions of the country or outside the US, basically giving me new insights. Data visualization shows it to me, and dashboards, it can customize a dashboard depending on who I am in the organization. Enterprise resource planning, we talked about what is the purpose, what is the trend. The trend, of course, is going cloud. Basically functioning, giving services, let's say payroll, let's say human resources, let's say sales, across the entire enterprise. What's an enterprise? It's a big business, right, that is going across that whole enterprise. What's the trend? The trend is going cloud. And guess what else the trend is? It's doing more Gen AI, that I don't have to, as an employee, spend a lot of time even using these systems or even creating the rules. We talk about transaction processing system. What's a transaction? It's an event. If I buy a certain product, that's a transaction. And basically, how does it go through the entire system, process that entire system, and make adjustments? Those transaction systems have to be accurate, of course. I have to be able to rely on it. It has to be secure. I don't want somebody to hack in to my systems where I swipe my card in my transaction and somebody steals my credit card without me knowing it, because they already have put in a type of software that absorbs my credit card without me knowing it. It's critical in my organization, and it helps my core operation supporting it. So the business events and those transaction processing, of course, all go into a database, and exception reporting tells me something unusual, something very good. A lot of times, some exception reporting, all I want to see the variance, something that looks suspicious. Depending what I'm using, we talked about data warehouse versus data mart. Both are historical. We talked about the characteristics of security, social engineering, right? Somebody schmoozes, privacy, spyware, ransomware, my virus, my keyloggers, that all of this is a repeat. Business analytics, we talked about it last time we met, that's on data. Data is tremendous. Data is all over the place. What I need is to describe my data. I don't want to say that even in my test scores, right? We had a test last time, right? What was that? It was historical. You had test one. Everybody had test one. What's an example of descriptive analytics for test one? Ricardo, did you hear my question? My question was, for descriptive analytics, most of us took test one. And my question is, what would be an example of descriptive analytics for test one? Ricardo.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
Okay. Did you take the test?
I did and did pretty well.
Okay, he did pretty well. So in that case, descriptive statistics would be, how do you know you did pretty well? You got a grade, but you want to know what? In comparison to everyone else, right? Did you get 100, Ricardo, in the multiple choice? No. I can announce nobody got 100. Okay? But he did pretty well. In relation to everyone else, he did pretty well, let's say, in the multiple choice, right? In this case, then, what would we want to know? What's descriptive about it? Everybody wants to know, what was the average? Right? And if you did pretty well, you did what? Above the average, below the average, Ricardo?
I believe
see.
above.
Above. If you say you did pretty well, we're making this. We're not. I don't want to make this out loud to just talk about Ricardo. Let's say is student A, right? We don't have to, you know what I mean, put anybody on the spot what you did, and that's your business whether you share it or not, right? My business is not to share with the class what you personally did, but my business is saying what the average. Let's say the average was 70, and let's say and we're making a hypothetical, right? It's not necessary. You got 90, right? So that's a descriptive describing it, right? Or it could be described that I can say then the variance was low, meaning everybody got around 70. That's what the variance would be, low, right? If the variance was high, that would mean, God, we got people that got 100, people got 10, people got in the 70s. It was all over the place, right? That's descriptive. That basically describes the data, that I have a feel for the data, and I have it like a summary of the data that I can see. One of people want to know what was the highest score and what was the lowest score, and we can have the differences. That's descriptive statistics. Everybody clear with that? You learned that in elementary school, right? What's an average, right? And then in small amounts, how much does it vary, right? Is it like flat? Everybody got the same, right? And get another one. Oh, everybody got 100, right? Or everybody got lower than 50%. Right? That's descriptive. So you understand that? Is that the present, the past, or future when we talk about descriptive statistics? Ricardo, we'll try it again.
Past, probably.
Past, of course. Test 1 came when? Not now, in the past. Now let's talk about test 2. Have we taken test 2? No. So what we want to do is predictive analytics. Predictive is what, then what? What's in the future? And this is where predictive and prescriptive, this is important in business. Because do we know the future? Of course not. But when are we more successful is that if I have more data and I have a sense, and basically AI can maybe help me in this case, is forecast. If I can forecast correctly, I will do better. You agree with me? Then if I can't forecast, right? We got a new president, right? And what is the marketplace is now reacting. Basically, if you think about predictive, what are they trying to do? They're forecasting what Trump will do in the future. Have you heard that? Right? People are not sure, right? Right? And it depends where you are in the world. If you're in Iran or you're in Europe or you're in the Mideast or in the United States, people don't know. So basically, if you can predict that, that will give you an edge, supposedly, right? That if I can predict what? And am I always going to be 100%, Ricardo? Correct in predictive analytics? Of course not. But what do I want to do is I want to minimize the errors. And basically what I want to do is I want to be more accurate than my competitors. Right? So I have predictive. So predictives are using forecasting techniques. When we were doing Ninja Trader, what did we do? We did back testing. We took our model, whatever model we chose. And what is back testing? Is that the past, the present, or the future, Ricardo?
The past.
The past. It says back. It doesn't say forward testing, which you could do. It says back testing. And one of the mistakes that people wrote in their answer is that back testing then will tell us, will guarantee what will be in the future. Is that accurate? Of course not. But maybe it will tell us if this model wasn't good in the past, it may not be good in the future. So we're basically saying it gives us a sense, right? It's the same thing then in what you're looking at is the past, right? Of the description of how well you did in the test 1 may be telling us how well you'll do in test 2. Is it for sure? No. If I didn't study for test 1, but now I'm really into it. Now I woke up and now I say, hey, I got to pass this course, or now I really, or whatever issue, I had issues before, right? It doesn't tell me exactly, but the predictive is giving me a forecast, right? So I'm having that forecast now. And so the question is in prescriptive analytics, what is prescriptive analytics? It's also the future, but this tells me, for instance, let's say about the stock, this is telling me that this stock may go up, but prescriptive analytic tells me what I should do. So it may be still too risky for me to invest, depending on what? My risk level tolerance. So the difference between predictive and prescriptive is prescriptive advises me what to do. So all of this Gen AI, in wealth management, this is where it can help. If I have millions of data points and they can get better each time and we can train them better, supposedly in this, they, along with humans, can really help us. It's the same thing almost like in for health care, right? That I can predict then how long I'm going to live or what, and then maybe the prescriptive will tell me, hey, you should take these drugs or try these new clinical trials. Makes sense, Ricardo? I'm using you as an example. Don't take me literally that we're concerned. No one's concerned about your grade. You understand? And we keep it as need to know, but rather in this case, this is what it is. Data, we need to describe it, what exists, and then these two are our hard parts. And then you can have, once I predicted it, based on my risk tolerance, then the analytics can then basically go and do the prescriptive, give me an idea what I should do or trade for me, right? It's going to trade differently from Dr. Rush than for Ricardo. Because you have a different risk tolerance than I do, or you do have different experience, just like that. And that's why those Gen AI can help you. So in this case, what we have here is I have 4 questions that I can ask you. And let me emphasize, different from last time. Last time, some people just wrote like 4 little bullet points and that's it. That is not enough to get a good grade. So what you have to do is you have to expand upon what you have learned. If you haven't learned anything, it shows. And sometimes just writing nonsense also doesn't count. I'd rather you write shorter things than start writing, what can I say? Nonsense doesn't gain points. But now when you can see it, all of these links should work. So this one is, and check them out now to make sure they're working. Because again, broken links, whatever I can have here is, this is what are the subfields of AI? How is AI applied to business? And what are the challenges of AI? And in this one, I use these 2 links because notice they're competitors, right? Microsoft and Amazon. Microsoft and Amazon, the Azure and AWS are competitors. And guess what? I bet you their websites look very similar because what do? They compete and they want to get their business. So what are the questions? What is cloud computing? What are the benefits? What are the types of cloud computing? Explain. What are the types of cloud services, and what are the business uses of cloud computing? One other question that you can jot now with all of these is how you used in class. Give examples also of your personal use of it. Have we used cloud computing all the time in the class, right? Were there issues with it, Ricardo? Of course there were. Were there advantages to it? Of course there was. We use the Zoom getting in, and then all of a sudden Bianca says, I'm having problems getting in. Was it her fault? No, it's either the Wi-Fi or whatever it is, or issues doing the cloud computing. So you can see here, it doesn't matter, but if I go to open in a new tab, and it doesn't matter whether this is Microsoft, this is Azure, and what is it? What is cloud computing? Right? So you can figure it out. Can you use other Gen AI tools to put you in, or even use these links and have it put podcasts for you? Sure, you can do anything you want. For the multiple choice, you can put in those questions, have it create multiple choice questions. For the cloud computing, have it set you up. Have it even at the end when you take your walks or something, right? Or run, you can listen to the podcast of it. But the same idea, right? We've gone over it. What's the key here is the delivery of computing services. So it can be a server, it can be storage, it can be a database, it could be network, it could be software. And look at this too, analytics. A lot of times it can do the analytics. Let's say, Ricardo, you're a statistician? No. And many times it can now, with cloud services, do analytics for you. And look at this. It puts, hey, intelligence is big. They're running intelligence, right? In the what? Over the internet, I call it with a browser, right? Is the cloud. To offer what? Of course, faster innovation, flexible, economies of scale. You typically pay only what you use. Helping you do what? Lower those operating costs, right? Ricardo, we go in business and maybe we'll go into real estate business. You want to, and we don't even know how many customers do we have. So we need to hire a whole IT staff. Do we need to buy all these hardware? And I said, I don't even know if we'll be successful. Maybe we'll be 2 months in business. So what people are saying, hey, start with the cloud, let them invest. And then later on, we can do it. I don't. And so you can see top benefits, types of the cloud, why I showed this example, but that you understand it. And then think about, how does this deal with your life? How does this deal with what we've done in the class? Questions? Everybody understand how it's working? So that one extra question would be, how does this apply to what we've done? All of these. And the same thing, I'm not going to bother. This is Microsoft. I bet you Amazon is the same thing. I'm not going to bother wasting my time and your time. But then number 3, of course, is how does generative AI work? And in generative AI, what I'm talking about, you need to know how that fits together. So in generative AI, how does it differ from traditional AI machine learning? What are the benefits and limitations? What are use case studies? And in this case, what are the concerns? And how did you apply Gen AI to your project? Did you apply Gen AI, Amelie? Of course you did, right? So those are the questions. So in this case, then, basically, you can go to either both, and you find other ones. This is not limited, but these are kind of areas in which you have to answer the question. So I open up this in a new tab, and it doesn't matter, but this is generative AI, what is said about it, why it matters. You can do it in different ways. You can look at YouTube, you can use Gen AI to give you Gen AI, or you can put these links in and have it summarize for you. You use it how I'd use it. We're all limited time, right? And here it tells me the evolution of it in today's world, policy, blah, 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 who's using it. But basically, you're using it, right? And the results, gives a little quote, how it works. And notice here, you have the digital twins, you have the large language models. You remember we talked about large language models, that even Fastbot is giving us these LLMs that we can use, powerful machine learning model that can process and identify these relationships, natural language. You can ask and give me examples, right? Algorithms, we talked about deep learning, blah, blah, blah. Right? And this one, and then the 4th one is, what is machine learning? What's the difference between machine learning and AI? What industries are using machine learning? What's the difference between machine learning, data mining, and deep learning? I will choose 2 of them. If I were saying, okay, what should I, Ricardo, if forecasting, what would I ask on? I would probably say that cloud computing and how does generative AI work, right? If I were doing it, because that's what we really actually used a lot in the class, right? To actually focus in on that. What else? We did that. That help, Ricardo?
Yes, thank you.
So you have that, how you study. Everybody studies different ways. Everybody, is it audio? Is it, I need to see this? And everybody knows, I think the part of anxiety is because when we don't know anything coming, on the forecasting, we at least know what the setup of the exam is like. It's going to be exactly the same. We'll get on the computer. You'll have a choice. Do you want to do the open-ended first, or do you want to do the multiple choice? I give you the choice as much as possible. You decide how you want to approach it. People have different ways to do that. You decide. And I think everybody finished more or less on time. If you needed a couple extra minutes, you had it. If you have accommodations or some kind of letter, send it to me. But I'd like, even if you have accommodation, I'd like you to be in the room with me, because then you have me. You know, put you in another room by yourself, that proctor or something has no idea what's going on. So I'd like to at least be a support if you have any questions or anything like that. And then after that, we'll spend the rest of the time finishing up our projects, and then we'll those of you that are already there to play around with the FastBot, and then you can put that in. I'll give you a link to the video of how you do it. Next week I'll put in also, we're getting the instructions from Jason. He's being so generous to allow our students to have, the 2 months kind of thing. I think it's like one for each group he'll do, and then everybody else can do the free one. So what I'd suggested to playing around is everybody try out the free one, and then later on and say, hey, I really like it. We'll give you the code and you can upgrade for a couple of months and try the business one. And nice, we get an $80 discount, and we can see it. And then what's good for him, why should he do it? We can give him feedback. What's working, what's not, and then later on give him possible sales if it's really great. Some of you can even think about it as, I think it's great, is this could be a service. One is you're giving me a service, you're telling me about that. Mostly people aren't aware of what's out there. And it's just like so hard to get a grasp of it, and it keeps on changing. That's what I think you guys can do, is get into it. All right. So what do I need? Any other on the chat, my folks?
All
Anything?
good.
All good? That's great. So let me do attendance and all good. Stay with me if you, after attendance, if I can help you in any way. Ask questions. We turn off the recording, so we make everything, as I say, need to know, right? So let's see what I'm going to get here. It's a little bit slow. I have a lot of things running here. It's another problem, right? All of this is in the cloud. Notice is another. It's not even part of Blackboard. It's another one. So it's 9229. 9229 is the code. Stay with me if you have questions, if you want to ask me anything. I'll stay as long as you would like me to. Otherwise, I'll see everybody on Monday at 5. We'll be ready, raring to go. And then if you'd like, you can even stay afterwards and have me look at your project. You have questions about your project or something like that, I'll be happy to spend time with that. And then on Wednesday, we'll continue with the project, and I'll give you more formal directions on what your presentation should look like. After Thanksgiving, we'll have a test on Monday. We'll meet on the following Monday online, and then we'll present right after Thanksgiving. So we don't got a lot of time, but at least you got to kind of explore things that hopefully you haven't seen before. And
Thank you
kind of
very much.
always. My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let me stop sharing 9229.
Thank you, Professor.
You're welcome. Do you understand, Ricardo? I didn't want to put you in and what grade you got or not. I knew you did well, so that's why, I did that. But
Yeah, no problem.
you understand, nobody's business. But anyways, keep up the good work, good attitude, and hopefully you'll be learning something, right? And you can
Yes.
take it with you, that's the key. And sometimes you can learn what you don't like. You know what I mean? That's something too. Or learn this is the things, or like he said, he did manage, have somebody else manage this for me.
Definitely.
Okay, perfect. Okay, great. Let me stop recording. Make sure that I'm not recording anything.